Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. So he comes from one of Hollywood's most respected acting dynasties, right? A family that's basically synonymous with talent. But this is the story of how one son chose to step out of that giant shadow, not by just following in his father's footsteps, but by forging a path that was entirely his own. And that really brings us to the big question at the heart of Alexander Skarsgård's story. I mean, think about it. How do you build your own identity when your dad is a world-famous actor? When your last name pretty much opens every door for you? How do you prove you can build a house of your own? It's a journey of independence, some really extreme choices, and ultimately, defining a legacy. So here's how we're going to break it down today. First, we'll look at the Hollywood royalty he was born into, then the rebellious choice he made to escape it. We'll cover his daring career, his fiercely private personal life, and finally, that father-son rivalry that brought his whole journey full circle. It's going to be a good one, so if you like what you're hearing, please hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and maybe share it with a friend. All right, let's kick things off with part one, Hollywood's royal family. Because, to really understand the man Alexander became, you first have to understand the world he came from and the just towering legacy of the Skarsgård name. And this is the patriarch, Stellan Skarsgård, looking effortlessly cool back in 1983. Now, before he was in Dune or Mamma Mia, Stellan was a massive star in Sweden. And get this, at 16, he became a pop star from a TV show. Back then, Sweden only had one TV channel, so literally everyone knew who he was. He totally set the stage for a true acting dynasty. And what's really interesting is that all that fame didn't come with scandal. In their home country, the Skarsgårds aren't just famous, they're genuinely beloved. They're seen as hardworking, fun, and talented people. And you can imagine that adds this whole other layer of pressure. I mean, how do you step out of the shadow of a family that everyone respects so much? Which brings us right to part two, a rebel in the ranks. So, faced with that legacy, Alexander didn't just ride the wave of success. Nope, he swam directly against the current, making a choice that absolutely no one saw coming. Okay, just imagine growing up in a creative, free-spirited, bohemian family of artists. Now, what is the most extreme opposite of that world you can possibly imagine? Well, for Alexander, the answer was the rigid discipline and complete anonymity of the military. At just 19 years old, he chose to serve. And this wasn't some kind of token effort. He spent 18 months in a specialized anti-terrorism unit. This was a serious commitment in a world where your last name means absolutely nothing. And here, in his own words, you can really see his motivation. This wasn't just a simple act of teenage rebellion. It was a very deliberate search for an identity that he could claim as his own, a need to prove to himself that he could succeed in a world totally removed from his family's influence. The contrast with his father's experience is, well, it's pretty hilarious. When Stellan faced mandatory service, he had a friend write a letter claiming he was a bad influence. The draft board basically told him, "Don't come near us." The fact that his son chose to enlist in an elite unit just shows two profoundly different approaches to finding your place in the world. All right, part three, from vampire to biker. You see, that discipline and independence he forged in the military didn't just disappear when he returned to acting. It actually became the very foundation of his career. I mean, just look at this range. He went from being the ancient vampire heartthrob Eric Northman in True Blood to the terrifyingly abusive husband in Big Little Lies, to the eccentric and kinda unsettling tech billionaire in Succession, and now he's playing an enigmatic biker named Ray. The guy never plays it safe. His latest film, Pillion, is a romantic drama set within the world of BDSM. It's a broad term for practices involving specific power dynamics. It's a bold, sensitive topic for a film, and exactly the kind of challenging territory Alexander seems determined to explore. So why take these risks? For Alexander, the logic is pretty simple. The real danger isn't tackling a controversial subject, it's signing on to a project he doesn't fully believe in. His choices are driven by a passion for the story and trust in the director, not by what people might think. Which brings us to part four, the private life of stars. After carving out this really distinct professional identity, Alexander began building a new, much more personal one: fatherhood. In an age where celebrities share every detail of their lives, Alexander and his partner, the very talented actress and director Tuva Novotny, did the complete opposite. Her pregnancy was revealed quietly, and he didn't publicly confirm their baby's arrival for nearly a year. I mean, that level of privacy is almost unheard of in Hollywood. Of course, privacy doesn't stop fans from having fun. When a picture finally did surface, this Reddit comment just perfectly captured the relatable, slightly clumsy vibe of a new dad. It's a funny, humanizing moment that shows a completely different side of the intense actor we see on screen. And it's pretty clear his fans appreciate this approach. It shows they don't just admire his acting, they really respect his integrity. Protecting your private life has always been a Skarsgård tradition, and it's one Alexander is clearly passing on to his own family. Okay, part 5, a father-son rivalry. And this is where the journey really comes full circle. Having built his own career and his own family, Alexander was no longer standing in his father's shadow. He was standing right alongside him. So check this out. At the recent Gotham Awards, which is a really prestigious event for independent film, both Alexander and his father Stellan were nominated in the exact same category, Outstanding Lead Performance. This wasn't just a family get-together, it was a symbolic showdown. Decades after trying to escape his father's shadow by joining the military, he was now competing against him for one of acting's top honors. The student had officially become the master, ready to face his mentor. And in a joint interview, their playful banter said it all. Beneath the deep love and immense respect, there's a healthy dose of competition. Stellan's gloves off comment isn't just a joke, it's the ultimate sign of respect. He no longer sees his son as just his kid, but as his peer. So Alexander Skarsgård's story really shows us that forging your own identity isn't about rejecting where you come from. It's about having the courage to find your own path, even if that path leads through unexpected places, and eventually right back to standing shoulder to shoulder with the person who started it all. Which leaves us with the question, what does it truly mean to build your own legacy? I'd love to know what you think, so leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.